Hello and welcome to Between the Ears, a podcast where I'm going to try and pick apart my own deep and somewhat philosophical thoughts and try to dive a bit deeper into them, give a broader and better understanding, and to try to look at them with an unbiased and nuanced perspective and point of view. Um, to try and break down each thought and really see if I can find some sort of meaning behind the meaning and try to do it without pride and ego getting in the way, because where the thoughts and ideas will have been very personal to myself or would have occurred to me on a long walk, and a lot of the ideas will also have certain stories to go with them. And I don't want to end up going or detracting from the idea and just making this a podcast about personal experiences, which of course are great because it can add to the substance of the idea. But I don't want it to be a runaway train of ego and pride taking over the thought process and pattern itself. So today's episode will be about significance or insignificance, um, and how it can be very easy to be caught up in that nihilistic thought pattern and process. And that's one thing I found as I took a walk along the shoreline near my house. And while I was on this walk, I sat at a bench just similar to this, without all the furry overthrows and cushions. And I looked over this vast body of water and I thought, wow. I looked at the tree next to me. Oh, it's amazing. I saw all the big tanker ships coming in. And I thought, how insignificant. For some reason, I'm not I'm not a shy person, so to speak. Um, I don't really withhold much, and I wouldn't say I'm not confident in certain aspects. I mean, we all suffer from certain fears, anxieties, troubles, but we're supposed to deal with them accordingly. But for some reason, in that moment of time, that pondering question, what's the point in all this? You know, I mean, humans, as far as it goes, compared to a lot of animals, we're pretty weak. It's our thinking and our ability to adapt, change, and create that has got us to the top of the food chain. So as I sat there, I thought, we're so insignificant on the grand scheme of things. And truthfully, and this is where that nihilistic thought pattern came into it, is I sat there and I thought, life has no meaning. There is no meaning to this, to any of it. There is zero meaning to it. And then I thought, well, if life has no meaning, I can just do whatever I want, whenever I want. And then I started to really think about it and I thought, no, that's not the right thought process to have, because although I do agree with the fact that life doesn't have a meaning, because the meaning is for you to create. The meaning isn't something that is, we aren't born with meaning. I mean, you look at a lot of things in nature, everything in nature. This plant, for example, a lion, they live by, uh, I mean, this plant will just grow to the extent of which it can. If I would make the pot bigger and fatter, perhaps it will grow a bit taller and maybe not. It'll grow to the fullest that its potential is. And it's the same for animals in nature. They will just do as they are supposed to do. The lion wakes up, eats, sleeps, mates. Humans will not grow to the fullest of their ability because we have been gifted the liberty of choice. And we seem to have a lot of comforts that will not allow us to prosper to the heights of our ability. But again, that is me going to a completely different place at the moment for this specific thought pattern. So, to get back to the original thought, the meaning of life is to create your own meaning. And whatever that may be for you is the purpose you choose. And this is why I think sometimes you see people who, other people, that's a bad person, but it seems that nothing bad ever happens to them because either they're thoughtless and mindless and they're not really paying attention to what they're doing, or they genuinely believe that their purpose in life, for example, is to sell drugs, and that's why they excel in that field. I think to create your own meaning in life is probably the most beautiful thing that you can do. But the tricky thing is to try to make sure you create and leave a positive impact by the meaning you choose. Because otherwise, what does it all mean? It doesn't mean anything. It really does have zero meaning. The life you live, for the majority and most part of people, it, it really ends up meaning nothing. But on the flip side of that, look around you. I mean, this table, these books, the guitar up there that you can't see in the frame, the paintings above me, the house I live in, this microphone, the recording set that this is being recorded on. It was all created by a person who had an idea and they turned that idea into their purpose. I don't believe Steve Jobs came out of the womb of his mother born and said, I'm going to create Apple and the iPhone. It was, from what I could probably guess, a insight as to what was going on around him, and he said, I'm going to revolutionize this area of the world. That's my purpose. That's the change I will make. And it's the same for many inventors. Nothing we see around us just came to be. It all started in here, in the mind of someone who then made it their purpose to achieve over time. And what impressive things. I mean, could you imagine if we hadn't done that? Could you imagine if no one in life ever decided to give themselves a purpose? We'd still be cavemen. We'd still be running around chucking spears at things and living like wild animals. Because no one would have taken it upon themselves to say, I have a purpose in life and it's to create this, or I have a purpose in life and it's to do that. It would have just been wake up, eat, sleep, reproduce. Maybe not in that particular order, but in that sense, that would be life, the life of an animal, no better, no worse. Which in one way is just living according to nature. I mean, this is where you have another flip side of it. To live according to nature would it be the right way? Because what is to live according to nature? I mean, human nature would tell me that I want to have more. And given what we do have, I want more of that. But also to be content in what I already have, which is myself. My body, my arms, my legs, perfectly working. And that's enough. Food in my belly, water, and a roof over my head. So I think when you really look at it, we are so insignificant in that cosmic scale. But here on Earth, look at the significant impact we have made. I mean, when you look around you and you really begin to take in things that have been created, developed, how the world has gone, it's easy to fall into that life is terrible mindset. But life's not terrible. In fact, life couldn't be better right now. Unfortunately, and just to take on technology, phones, social media, and things like that. In my thoughts and my belief, we advanced too quickly over such a small space of time for our brains to comprehend and not get addicted to what was being given. That's just my personal thoughts on the reason for social media addiction and real bad dopamine regulation among people 18 to 40, I'd say. I mean, sometimes you could go higher, but the mean and average range of age. So I think that's a big problem that needs to be addressed somehow. But again, how do you address such a big problem? because it's very clear that social media is here to stay. Chances are this is probably being watched or listened to by some form of social media. And how do you tackle such a problem? I think the first and foremost thing would be to teach people how to disengage every now and again, and to reconnect not just with the outdoors but with themselves, to try and make a better understanding about who they are and what's their purpose, because it's easy to fall into the entrapment of negative influences. And that question of what is the meaning of life, well, I mean, what a question. What is the meaning of life? Well, if you go your whole life trying to find the meaning of life, I don't really think your life's ever gonna have meaning. Because the truth is, it doesn't really have one. I mean, you could say to have kids, get married, find a partner. These are all the meanings of life. But are they meanings? They're just natural things that occur in one's life. That would be that would be nature doing its due course, doing its due work. You're supposed to have a partner, and you're supposed to create new life and reproduce. And for some people that is a meaning. For some people their offspring is their meaning of life. This is my meaning. This is what keeps me ticking, what keeps me going. And that's a great meaning to have. That really is. And if that's the meaning, and I don't want to doubt, because again, this can come across quite on the ego side of things. It almost can sound like I'm downplaying someone's meaning. That's not what this is at all. But to me personally, that is something that is just natural. You should love, you should care for your offspring, you should cherish them every day, you should want to protect your family. But that shouldn't be your sole meaning. That should be something that just it comes to you. I think the meaning side of life, that's something that needs to be carefully thought about and designed. Something that you need to sit down with yourself and think, I have 75 years, if I'm lucky, on this earth, possibly more, great, maybe less, unfortunate. I know some people that have died before their 30th birthday. I know some people that have lived to 100. And the truth is, you have more time than you think to get things accomplished, but you don't have a lot of time overall. So again, it goes back to the grand scheme of things, and this is where it can become a kind of cynical thought process. I don't have that much time. I've only got 75 years. I'm going to be dead soon anyway. And if you see your mind shift to that mode of thinking, well, you have to flip the script on yourself, because yeah, you are going to be dead one day. That's inevitable. We all are. Everyone's going to be dead. So fill that time with a good, honest purpose. bring light to people's life, bring happiness to people's life, bring smiles to people's life, help an old lady cross the road. Make it your purpose to be a charitable citizen. Make it your purpose to rescue dogs in Ukraine. I don't know. Whatever purpose can bring you fulfillment and also help heal the world, well, that seems like the best purpose you can have. Or a purpose to get rich, a purpose to achieve more, a purpose to leave an imprint, leave a mark on the world. But this isn't to be some motivational speech either. This is, again, a thought process that I'm trying to pick apart, because the fine line of perspective on this particular topic of subject, again, perspective is everything. How you look at things shapes, well, your inner world shapes your outer world, and how you see things is more than likely a reflection of self and what's going on in here. But it's like the saying of glass half full, glass half empty. I could sit and say, well, I've not got that much time, so what's the point in trying? Or on the flip side of that, you say, wow, I've only got a finite amount of time on this earth, let's smash it. It's the same principle, it's the same thought. It's just one you're looking at from here and the other you're looking at from here. And of course, you can't go through life always being positive. That's just naive, because it's just, you'd have to be some sort of freak to be positive all the time. We all have the bad days, we all have the blues and the sadness that creeps in. But those are the most important days where you say, right, this is where I'm going to keep my disciplines. This is where I'm going to keep my actionable process to lift me back up to here, because it's got me and it will pull me down otherwise. And that's when the cynical mind can take over. What's the point in trying? What's the point in doing this? Oh, I would do that if I had the time. I would do that if I had the time. Make the time. So the most interesting part for me personally was to see how, in that little moment in time, my mind did become almost cynical, and it was like a form of nihilism where I just had that instant thought. I felt really insignificant, but then seeing everything around me made me realize you may feel insignificant, but every single action, moment, idea, it all has the possibility of being of such significance, because you don't know which idea is going to be that idea that revolutionizes or changes the world. You don't know if the next thought that you have even if it doesn't change the world, it may change someone's life. It may change the course of someone's day. It may change the course of someone's life overall. It may pick someone's spirits up. You may have a thought that can change a person's outlook, a person's perspective. You may have the idea that's going to create the next Tesla, the next Amazon. All thoughts that are left unattended to has the possibility to be one of the next great inventions or ideas. But it's important to recognize all your thoughts and how you're seeing them and what thoughts are being allowed through your mind. Because just going back to the social media side of things, you need to make sure that the thoughts that you are allowing in are not other people's, or to be able to, that's the wrong way to put it, because otherwise you just reject everyone else's thoughts but your own. It's not a wise idea. But don't blindly believe everything you see, hear, or anything that's put out there. Don't be a follower. Be a student. Be a student of other ideas, and try to understand them and get from them the value that they hold. But don't just blindly believe stuff. So I think the underlying idea I'd like to get from this original thought is to be able to recognize the thoughts you're having and the pattern and process in which you're having them. And what I mean by that is when you catch yourself like I did, having that specific thought of insignificance, and then having to break it down to, on the flip side of that, how significant we as humans truly are. Because if we are the only things in the universe, we would definitely have left our mark. Maybe not perfectly, but we still did. And to recognize those thoughts, what perspective you're seeing those thoughts from, and make sure that you can improve from that mode of thinking. Because it'd be very easy to run away with that thought. I could have come back from my walk and it could have really put a dampener on my day, on my mood, on my life. I could have said, well, what's the point? What's the meaning of all this? I'm so insignificant, nothing I do will ever matter and never matters anyway. On the flip side, I came back and I thought, wow, at the moment, I'm not really making much of an impact. Well, what impact do I want to leave? It was the perspective shift of damn, I only have a finite amount of time on this. I need to get cracking. I need to get smashing life. I need to do more. I need to be more productive. I need to help more people. I need to help myself more. I need to keep myself fitter. I need to keep myself more active. I need to put better food into my body. I need to practice my thoughts. And that was the takeaway from what started as a cynical thought. It went from a glass half empty to then a glass half full. So it's important to have a glass half full attitude, definitely, and try to look at life with clarity and with vision. Don't look at life through rose-colored tints, like don't look at life as though everything's perfect, because then that's just being naive to situations. Because a lot of situations are very complex and complicated, and they're not that easy to deal with. But don't let the things out of your control put added stress onto the things that you have control over, which you may be trying to fix. Keep a positive outlook, but be realistic. You have to have a sense of realism about you, because to just go through life and smile at everything and act like nothing is very serious, well, then that's a problem. But also, don't be cynical and don't drag people down, and try to uplift people's spirits, because perhaps there's someone out there who also feels the insignificance of their life, yet they have become cynical over it. They may not have had that mindset shift of, well, my life's pretty insignificant, but I have an opportunity to make something of it. I have an opportunity to give my life meaning, to give my life purpose. And to have that glass half full. So, yeah, that is today's episode pretty much wrapped up. And I suppose the bottom line and the final word I'll leave on it is, life can feel extremely hopeless in a way, meaningless, and I think the idea is to give your own life the meaning it deserves. Take stock of your position and find a purpose you'd like to pursue, an idea you'd like to see come to life, a mark that you'd like to leave on the world. Because otherwise it becomes that feeling of cynical insignificance. The meaning of life is to give your own life meaning. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you next.